ISFJ CT loop, what it means and how to break free. For introverted personality types, going into their loop is when they turn inward to their introverted functions. This isn't always a bad thing, and sometimes it occurs under stress as a means of helping the person navigate whatever challenges they are facing. At first, it can cause them to turn towards parts of themselves they normally would not, applying pressure to a function that isn't as natural for them. It can help the individual figure out some things they are struggling with, but if this goes on for too long, it can certainly become unhealthy for them. When they get stuck in this loop for long periods of time, they definitely need a means of breaking free before it applies too much stress to their weaker functions and leaves them feeling emotionally exhausted. In their loop, the ISFJ focused on their introverted functions, their introverted sensing, and introverted thinking. Ordinarily, their auxiliary extrovert feeling, FAG function is actually rather important to how the ISFJ responds to and processes the world around them. They make many of their choices using this function, but during their loop, it becomes pushed aside in favor of their introverted functions. For the ISFJ, this can really throw them out of their normal sense of structure and causes them to behave much differently. They are normally very practical people who focus on getting things done and caring for their loved ones. During their loop, they can be very withdrawn and no longer seem to have a means of managing their normal tasks. ISFJs typically rely on extrovert feeling, FA. ISFJs will typically focus a lot on their auxiliary function as well as their dominant one. For them, their extrovert feeling is an important part of how they respond to others and make choices about what is right and wrong. They are highly sensitive to the needs and emotions of others and care about making their loved ones happy. For the ISFJ, it is important to always be able to tend to the needs of those close to them, and this is a desire which is driven by their FA. This also helps them to understand people better and gives them a sense of focus. They are practical people who look at the past to figure out the best way to move forward, and this comes from their introverted sensing. When combined with their extrovert feeling, it helps the ISFJ focus this energy on being able to care for others and make goals that include the happiness of their loved ones. ISFJs care about pleasing the people around them, and how they are viewed by these people is truly important to them. This function plays an important role in how the ISFJ views the world and responds to other people. It keeps them connected to the outside world and prevents them from becoming reclusive or stuck in their own thoughts and mind. While their introverted sensing connects them to the past and helps them figure out the most practical path, their extrovert feeling connects them with those around them and helps the ISFJ prioritize what truly matters most to them. The CT loop in ISFJs. When the ISFJ is caught up in their CT loop, they lose sight of their extrovert functions entirely. They become so focused on these introverted functions, and it can cause a lot of stress in their lives when this happens. The ISFJ starts to look at the past in certain situations where things went wrong, and then they try to analyze and make sense of this. They can see all the negative things that happened and want to try and understand what went wrong. This is the combination of introverted sensing seeking out situations from the past, and introverted thinking searching for logical answers to everything. Normally their introverting thinking isn't as utilized and is used in more subtle situations for the ISFJ. Drawing too much on this function can send them into this loop and cause them to overanalyze. The ISFJ never truly feels like they have come to any useful conclusions, so they continue to go down this spiral of overanalyzing the past and trying to understand what they could have done better. This also causes the ISFJ to lose their connection to the outside world, not really feeling like spending as much time around others. They can become reclusive, as they are stuck in this loop of analyzing the past and searching for answers. While ISFJs are introverts, they do still need to remain connected to their loved ones, and during this loop, it becomes challenging for them to do so. How to break free. The ISFJ's CT loop often happens because of some sort of traumatic event or extreme stress in their lives. It can also happen if the ISFJ feels their normal responses are not working effectively, so they search for other means of getting things done. When the ISFJ needs to break free of their loop, they must focus on their extrovert functions. The best way to do this is to draw closer to their extrovert feeling, which is more natural for them. The ISFJ needs to focus on the emotions of others and might benefit from volunteering or finding some way to help people. Helping and caring for others is natural for the ISFJ, and during their loop, they have likely neglected this part of themselves. In order to regain some sense of normalcy and break free of their loop, the ISFJ needs to focus on this part of themselves and focus on the emotions of those around them. Just forcing themselves to visit with someone they love and hear them discuss their life and feelings can help the ISFJ start to break free from this internal loop.